Hello and welcome to the extended cut of the Fearsome build video. I'm glad you're here. This is where you're going to see all the testing. If you just want to see the intro, the background, and then the conclusion thoughts, which doesn't include any gameplay, including not the gameplay of the stuff that I'm recommending, you should watch the shortcut. This is where you'll see a lot of gameplay. I recommend this one for people who really want to know this build and know why I ended up choosing what I did. Hello everybody. Today we'll be looking at my big Fearsome build. This is my huge project I've been working on after the Fencer. Wanted to make a Fearsome build. So let's look at what Fearsome does first off. Fearsome, let's get right into it. Make them scatter and flee. Any attack that inflicts at least 1 point of damage to hit points triggers a morale check for the opponent with a penalty equal to 20% of your resolve. Normally without Fearsome, you do morale checks to enemies when you do 15 points of HP damage, and there's no penalty relative to your resolve. It should be noted that Fearsome, the penalty, it caps at 100 resolve, so that's what we're aiming for with this build, is a guy with 100 resolve. So, let's take a look at some notable equipment right here. We have the Direwolf Mantle. This is an armor attachment, and what it does is it gives you 15 durability, and for this build, it also reduces the resolve of any opponent engaged in melee by -5. Similarly, in the trinket slot, where like your Nacho necklace goes or your falcon, we have the cursed crystal skull. And what the crystal skull does is it does the same thing that the Direwolf Mantle does, and it means the user can never have confident morale, which that sucks. We don't like seeing confident or not having confident morale, but that's fine. So people are going to ask, how do you get the cursed crystal skull? What you do is you do deliver cargo contracts, and there's a 5% chance that sometime during your deliver cargo, one of your men will be like, hey, what's in this fucking basket? And you open the fucking basket or whatever it is. Ancient Undead will pop out. You fight Ancient Undead, and when you win, you take it. You have to take the skull. There's no penalty for doing so. You just do it normally. You get 1 per campaign, 5% chance on deliver cargo. It might be worth it, which is what I did, because I couldn't be bothered to like just go forever. Is I found deliver cargo that goes from one town to the next town over, and I just kept reloading saves. Just didn't 5-second travel time, didn't get it, reload. 5-second travel time, didn't get it, reload. Keep doing that. Got the crystal skull, luckily in about 4 or 5 tries. That's totally fine. Just be prepared for an Ancient Undead fight. Don't bring your archers. Don't bring, like a spearman or whatever. But anyway, what we see here is if you have 100 resolve from Fearsome, and then you have the crystal skull and the Direwolf Mantle, enemies are going to have a -35 resolve check, or a check with -35 resolve when they're engaged in melee with the Fearsome dude, and that's huge. And if we can do that with frequently with multiple attacks, we can get people breaking. What we want to see is enemies breaking very quickly, so we don't have to kill them. Hopefully, we could be breaking them before they act. We started using adrenaline, and then you hit them, and then when they act after you, they will run away and take opportunity attacks. What we want to see in this build is I want to see super high melee attack. I just want this to be noted now. You want super high melee attack, super high melee defense. This build needs to hit things because you need that morale hit. And getting someone wavering doesn't do anything. So you want them breaking, you want them fleeing. So you want to be hitting everything. So normally, maybe I wouldn't go for 111 fucking melee attack on a dude. But I did this time, and I think that's totally worth it. So now we're going to be getting into some backgrounds and traits that are useful for this build. Alright everyone, I want to bring up 3 more points before we get into some backgrounds and traits that we're looking for this build. I want to bring up the fights that we want to get into first. So the hardest fights in the game, not counting legendary locations, are Orc Warlord camps and Chosen camps with unholds. Now, since those are the hardest fights in the game, basically, we want a build that is useful in those fights. I'm ignoring undead. You could maybe say some undead are hard, but like necro savants or whatever. But a Fearsome build obviously isn't going to do anything to undead because they have infinite morale. So morale, which is another reason why it has to be good in the orcs and the Chosen, because it can't be good against undead. If this build is usable in undead fights for whatever reason, like if you're doing a gladiators run and you only have 12 dudes, you could still bring the build. That would be perfect. But in a roster of 20 people, you're not going to be bringing the Fearsome dude to an undead fight. You're just going to have someone else to bring. So we want to be good at orcs, specifically orc warriors, I think. I don't think there's much of a meta for killing orc young. Like, that's I don't know about you guys, but I'm not like, man, I need an orc young killer. If you're good, maybe that could become a thing. We'll see that in some of the testing, but it's not like orc young are the hardest fight in the freaking world here. And we want to look good at killing chosen. Maybe even good if you can break unholds. Maybe you could break orc warlords. Some of those other key targets. We'll see that. Next, I want to bring up being counterintuitive. Counterintuitivity? I don't know if that's a word. But what I'm talking about here is the damage that this build does. Because Fearsome is a gimmick. Because the way you win this game is to kill your enemies. And a Fearsome build doesn't do that. It morale breaks your enemies. So it's a gimmick because you're not killing them. You're doing something other than killing. You're still winning. You're winning kind of by a gimmick, which is morale. It's a good gimmick. I'm not discounting Fearsome, but I'm saying if you're just doing a ton of damage, like, yeah, I have Fearsome on my like max roll great axe. Okay, you're just gonna kill him anyway, so the Fearsome doesn't proc. Like, oh, I have Fearsome. I Fearsomed a level 1 Nacho. Oh, sure, you kill him in 2 hits with your duelist anyway. So how long did Fearsomes have an effect for? Oh, 0 rounds. Okay, cool. No, so you actually want this Fearsome build to do very little damage, because otherwise you would just kill him. If by the time you break an enemy with your Fearsome build, they're at 20% HP, you should just kill them. You should have just had a real build and killed them. What you want to do is you want to do very little actual damage and break them, because otherwise this build is counterintuitive. You would just bring a real damage dealer instead of the Fearsome build. And third, I want to bring up the concept of adrenaline. Because what this is, what I thought at first was having high initiative, but we don't have the stats to level high initiative, and a lot of the backgrounds we're using don't have high initiative built into them. So what we're doing instead is we're using adrenaline. Because think about it, if you you pass round 1, enemy walks into you. At the end of round 1, you walk up, hit them once, adrenaline, or hit them twice, adrenaline, whatever the hell it is. Then you hit them at the start of round 2. They've broken, hopefully. If you already break them, then on round 2. They'll run away from you in zone of control, and they'll just die some more. And that's awesome. That is what I want to do. I want to talk about adrenaline. So keep adrenaline in the back of your mind. Keep doing low amounts of damage in the back of your mind, because you actually don't want to do high damage. And keep thinking, how is this build good against orcs and against chosen? Alright, right now I want to go into the best backgrounds and the best traits for your Fearsome guy when you're looking for him. I think the best background is undoubtedly the Adventurous Noble. Because let's think about it. When you have a Fearsome build, you need melee attack to hit them. You need melee defense because you're a frontliner. You need stamina because you need to have stamina. You need to like hit things consistently. You need HP so you don't die. And you need resolve because of Fearsome. You need 100 resolve. And Adventurous Nobles have the best melee defense in the game, or melee attack in the game, bar Swordmasters. They have some of the best melee, I say attack, they have best melee defense as well, melee attack and melee defense, except for Swordmasters, so that's perfect. Range defense, we don't care. Range attack, we don't care. They have decent enough HP, and if you throw Colossus on the build, they're actually going to be fine for what we need. They have pretty decent stam. You can see they can actually, if they roll high, they have +5 of the average stam. But the key point here is they can have up to 60 base resolve. That is what we need, because let's think about this. We need 100 resolve at the end of the game. We're going to take Fortified Mind because we need all those stats, and we can't level them all. We only get 3 levels every time we level up. So we need Fortified Mind, which increases our resolve by 25%. And with the arena veteran trait, you get 10 resolve. So let's put it like this. You need 70 resolve. Because what 70 will do, you need 70 base resolve. Arena Veteran gets you up to 80, and 25% of 80 is 20. And then with Fortified Mind, when you have 80 resolve, that gets you to the 100. And all you need is 100. So you need 70 base resolve. 70 plus 10 from Arena, plus 20 from Fortified Mind, gets you to 100. Okay. And Adventurous Nobles can start out with up to 60. If you get like 60 with like Fearless or Brave, and then you get a little bit extra from a trait, that's amazing. 45 base is still huge. You might need some resolve stars there. Or you need 70. But if you get a high roll Adventurous Noble, that's what you need. So what you want is you need stars in melee attack, melee defense, maybe some resolve depending on how high you get. Probably stamina. But you need melee attack, you need melee defense. Okay. So Adventurous Nobles are clearly your best bet. Next, I think the best thing is actually Sword Masters. Now, let's put it like this. Sword Masters, I just said you have to level all of those things. Now, Sword Masters have really high melee attack, so you don't need stars in melee attack anymore. 72 with no stars will get you an average of 92 melee attack at level 11, which is fine. That's what most builds look for already. So you don't need stars in melee attack with a Sword Master. You have really, really terrible HP, and that's not good. You have really, really terrible stam. That's also not good. But you can have really high melee defense. If you have a Sword Master is the best. Sword Master arguably might be the best if you have really good melee defense. I would say you need 50 melee defense. 50. And we're not taking gifted on this build, so that's going to be really high. But you can get there with a Sword Master. This is a very, very niche build. You need a very perfect brother with perfect equipment. But a max roll or close to a max roll Sword Master with 2 stars in melee defense can get to 50. 45 is okay. That's not bad. So, but Sword Master is great. Sword Masters get decent resolve as well. And what Sword Masters get is they get the old trait. You actually might want old here, because what old will do, we'll go to old right now. Old gives you 10 resolve. You lose a vision, don't care. Lose initiative, don't care. 10 fatigue, we do kind of care about that. Lose 10 hit points, we kind of care about that. But with nimble, and we can maybe get the 60 HP with nimble, and that's good enough. Because you have 50 melee defense, so you're not going to die. Like you're really not going to get hit enough to warrant needing more than 60 HP. So it's fine. But this stam, you're going to need to be pumping stam a lot. You're going to need to know what you're doing. But let's look at this. You can get 10 extra resolve. So we said we needed 70 resolve. Now we only need 60 resolve. Because when a Sword Master gets old, then you get that, you have 60, 10 plus old, plus 10 old, plus 10 arena, you're at 80, plus 20, fortified mind, 100. So you can build in extra stam points because you're not leveling resolve. So that's okay. So we're going to get rid of old right now. But so Sword Masters, I ended up doing a Sword Master because I just couldn't find an Adventurous Noble, and I think I'm fine. Let's say you can't get either of these, though. Squires are okay. Squires get decent HP, decent melee attack. Their melee defense is a little lacking. Their stam is fine. Their resolve is okay. It's just you have to get a really good squire. And the last one is sellswords. These are the weakest of the 4. They have really good melee defense and really good melee attack. That's helping them. Their HP is fine. The thing is with the rest of these, since they don't get old, you don't have to level HP ever. I think you can just go, even if you min roll with 50 and you just take Colossus, you get you to 62.5, 63 HP. That's exactly where my Sword Master is after Colossus and pumping HP. So that's fine. It gives you more points to put into melee defense, into resolve, into stamina. Okay, so we're looking at that. Next, let's look at some traits. Brave is obviously fine. That's an extra roll you don't have to put into resolve. Fearless is even better. 10 points into resolve. It means 10 points you don't have to level. I have a fearless Sword Master, so I only needed 50 resolve because 50 plus 10 fearless, plus 10 old, plus 10 arena, plus 20 fortified mind. That's fine. I think I put 1 level into resolve. It's perfectly fine. Let's look at strong. Strong is plus 10 stam. Tough is plus 10 HP. These are both fine. Sword Masters notably cannot get tough or strong, but the other classes can. So that's what we're looking at. Next, I want to look at determined. We said before, determined is actually bad. You don't want someone determined. Well, I guess it's okay if they're determined, but you're not going to benefit from determined. So if you have a really good determined bro, maybe don't make them this fearsome build. On the contrary, insecure is actually usable here. Insecure is usually a bad trait, but here, since the Crystal Skull already makes you not confident, this doesn't matter. This is redundant. So it's okay if you find it. You probably won't get an insecure one of any of these things anyway. I think none of them can be insecure. But it's just worth noting, if you're going to use the Crystal Skull in any build, you can have someone be insecure. Alright, right now I had 5 builds going into this testing. I made a video about a few weeks ago, and I said I wanted to try these different 5 builds out, and here they are. And I've kind of fixed them up as I've done my testing. So first off, we have a Warscythe build, so Warscythe or Sword Lance. The idea behind this build is that when you can AoE 3 enemies at once, you can do, and then with Berserk, you could do mass cascades of morale failures. This is actually still a frontline build, and it was an idea. The issue with this build is that it can only swing once per turn with without Berserk, because it's 5 AP to swing with a Sword Lance or a Warscythe. We'll keep saying Warscythe because that's what I call it. Notable things about this build is we have reach advantage, which means you maybe don't need to stack as much melee defense, because if you can hit 3 people, you can get 15 melee defense. That's kind of fine. That was about it. This build, really, I didn't have very high hopes for this build, I'll be honest. But we'll see how it goes in further testing. Next up, we had a Dagger build. Dagger build was the first one I considered putting Adrenaline on. And then we have with Pathfinder, we can see you get 3 attacks per turn. The idea behind this build was that 3 attacks per turn means 3 Fearsome checks. More if you get Berserk, but I ended up dropping Berserk for Underdog because for reasons. And then, so this build, I ended up being very pleasantly surprised by this build. I didn't think very highly of it going in, but it ended up being way better than I thought it would be. So next we have the Hammer build. The Hammer build initially had Berserk instead of Duelist. It had a shield. What I noticed with the Hammer build, the one-handed hammer, when it hits, it always does at least 10 HP damage. Now, if you remember, Fearsome, let's just look at it right here, only needs to inflict 1 point of HP damage, and you're doing 10. And normally, without Fearsome, you need to do 15. And I'm pretty sure it stacks. I am under the impression that if you do 1 HP damage with Fearsome, and then you do the normal 15 HP damage from like a regular hit, then you'll get 2 morale checks. Okay, and if you're already doing 10 with the hammer, and then you add Duelist, odds are you're actually going to do 15. So you're going to get 2 morale breaks per hit, and you swing twice, so you're getting 4. So I think the hammer was really, really effective. I thought it was going to be effective, and it was effective. I did end up dropping the shield, though, for Duelist. This would be a more traditional build if I kept Shield Expert, didn't have Duelist, maybe didn't have Adrenaline, but we'll see. Now, the 2 builds I thought were actually going to be the best were the Spearwall build and the Riposte build. Now, the Spearwall bot, as I call them, the idea behind this build was that when you have Spearwall, you can have a shit ton of attacks per turn because you're spearwalling. Enemies will run into you, orcs will run into you, barbarians run into you, animals run into you, nachos run into your spear walls, and you'll hit the ball, and this is the mass cascades. I said that before, mass cascades of morale failures. Now this build, the issue with this build, what I thought would be that the spear isn't going to do enough damage through the armor, and I found that was largely true. But this build was okay. This was a very good thought experiment build. With Riposte, it's a similar idea that if you're surrounded by 6 enemies and they all swing at you once or twice, you can get up to 6 or 7 morale or 12 morale breaks per turn. Your odds are you're not going to get 6 enemies per round swinging at you. But even if you get you get more than 2 and you're winning. The Dagger can get 3. The Warscythe maybe gets 3. But they're on 3 different enemies, so he breaks none of them. The Dagger can maybe break someone if he hits them 3 times. The Hammer can do 2, maybe 4, depending on how the HP damage works. But the Spearwall and the Riposte can get many morale breaks. That was my thought process going into this. So, there we can see the 5 builds, and now we're going to go into some testing. Alrighty, right now we're looking at the good old Sword Lance Warscythe build. Let's take a look at this real quick. We see that we're wearing a -0 fatigue hat and -8 fatigue armor. This is because this build is going to be so freaking stam intensive. It's like not even worth joking about. We have a plus damage, plus ignore armor Sword Lance, which is realistically the worst 2 things we could possibly want. I mean, maybe we could get you know, I was talking earlier about the hammer. You do the 1 HP fearsome check and the 15 regular HP morale check. You can maybe get it with this. Not too sure. 0 to 36 could maybe do it. The issue is we don't have minus fatigue, and we don't have minus fatigue on use. So Reap, which is what we're doing this build for, is for Reap, for the AoEs. I'm not doing this for Strike, I'm doing this for the AoE. So it's 23 fucking fatigue. We have Pathfinder, we have Adrenaline. And you could say, oh, don't use Adrenaline. Well, Adrenaline's really good. So if this build can't use Adrenaline, then this build isn't very good. We'd have Pathfinder anyway, because we love Pathfinder on polearms. Notable, Walk Forward 2. and then attack with 5, you don't get adrenaline. So you have to move up 1 on the first turn. You have to move up 1 on the first turn. Swing 3 times. You get 1 wavering. Then we're going to adrenaline. We're at 46 fatigue, and we have acted once. Oh man. You can see why this build isn't gonna make the cut. Let's be real here. All right. Okay. This was okay, but we have 1 wavering, 1 breaking, 1 guy with nothing. I think we missed him at the end, didn't we? Yeah. You know, I'd love to be able to do these tests where I didn't miss 95s just for like 1 round. That'd be cool. But okay, so we didn't get any kills. Maybe if we got some kills there, we could berserk again. But we have 16 stamina right now, so we could do a single target attack, and we'd probably try and go there and hit him again. If we hit this guy, he might just die. The thing is, we're doing a lot of HP damage here, which is kind of counterintuitive, which is our buzzword. It's counterintuitive. But look at this. He's stammed out. Let's say he attacked again, a single strike. He'd be at plus 12, and he would have 66 out of 70 stam, and it's turn 2, which means he's not reaping again. He could recover and do it again, I guess. But he's basically out of the fight, and it's turn 2. Not very effective. You're going to see the same thing in orc fights. Like, it's not bad. It's just not as good as the other builds. This is okay, but I think there's other builds that really shine more. It's worth noting that the issue with the Sword Lance is that it's just better at killing things. It's just way better at just, like, for goblins, bring it to a goblin fight or a raider fight or a nomad fight, you just slaughter them. You're just killing them. So just bring it on a normal dude. Bring it on a polearm hybrid. Yeah, polearm hybrid, duelist polearm hybrid. Like, there's many things you could bring a Sword Lance on that's better than this Fearsome build right here. So this is going to be, you're going to have to take my word on it for not being very good at orcs, but this is the extent of the testing that I'm going to show you guys for right now. Alright everyone, so here is the first test of the Spearwall build. It's against orcs. We're going to see Orc Young and Orc Warriors. We're going to see, obviously this isn't how you do this build, but I really wanted to see how would it work with this build in particular and nothing else, because I think you'll see why in a little bit. Right now we have a no fatigue helmet, which is a staple of all of these builds for the little bit of extra stam. We have a -8 fatigue armor, got the direwolf mantle, got the crystal skull. We have a minus fatigue and a minus fatigue on use spear. You'll see all of the weapons that I've used for all 5 of these builds are specifically tailored for this build. I'm very, very fortunate that I was able to find stuff like I have a minus fatigue on use hammer. I have this plus ignore armor plus damage dagger. But let's see how this works. So I'm in the middle of a greenskin invasion right now, so there's a little bit of goblins. Hopefully they don't hit him and poison him. That would really suck. We also don't like seeing the fatigue go up. Don't poison me. Thank you. Good. Okay, so we see Fearsome procced. We're going to continue just moving back just so the enemies focus on him. But it broke him right there. This guy didn't break. Broke him right here. See, it's kind of wrecking the Orc Young. Nice. That's really, really strong. So it's really, what we see in this build is it's really good against Orc Young. What we're not going to see, though, is that it's good against Orc Warriors. We're going to just run away a little bit. Oh. Alright. Nope. Alright, let's look at these Orc Warriors. See? Nothing. Nothing. 2 hits. Didn't do any sort of HP damage there. Unharmed. Where's the other one? Unharmed. So we're not doing anything. This guy's initiative is so slow that it's not working. Nice. 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 Okay. 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 Nice. Alright, good. This is pretty effective right here. You're breaking the Orc Young really well. Okay, but here's the issue. Is we're breaking the Orc Young really well, but I don't give a shit. You know what I could have done to this guy? Could have killed him in 2 hits. I could have used a duelist and killed that guy. These guys are Orc Young are very, very doable enemies. And our spear is down to 67% durability in 1 round of doing this. Okay. So the issue with this build, I'm just going to save you some time, is that it works against Orc Young, and it breaks Orc Warriors by breaking Orc Young. He's going to run out of stam because he's been shot by Goblin Ambushers a bunch, which is not a representative problem of a real fight unless you're in the Greenskin Invasion. But when he breaks the Orc Young, he causes morale failures in the Orc Warriors, and that is a huge problem right there. That is actually the big problem here. Let's say he didn't get stunned. If he didn't get stunned, then he could have footworked out. But right now he's stunned, so he's actually going to die, which sucks, because he lost his turn. But, you know, he would put 6, 7, 8 hits into these warriors, and he wouldn't do anything. He broke the Young. That's awesome that he broke the Young. I don't really care, though, that he broke the Young. That's not what I need right now. I don't need someone to break Orc Young. Orc Young are never the problem in an Orc fight. When you, I guess they could be if you don't have Indom. But when you have Indom and you have Mammoths, tanks, it's really the Orc Warriors that end up being an issue. So this sucks. This build is kind of effective. It's never going to be effective against Orc Warriors. I will tell you, I didn't have this recorded, but you'll have to take my word on it. I did this very test run before. He broke, I think, 7 orcs, and then his spear broke because he did so much, and then he ran out of, like, they rushed him and he died, which doesn't matter because it's a controlled test experiment. But breaking 7 orcs, he broke some warriors by breaking all of the, like, he broke like 4 or 5 Orc Young, and then the warriors, some of the warriors ended up fleeing as well. So that is kind of effective, but not really what we're looking for. Now I want to talk to you about the real reason why the Spearwall build isn't very good, and that is basically everything else besides Orc Young. Let's put it this. Let's talk about, we're just going to do some human enemies right now. The real problem with this is actually human enemies, and that human enemies don't run into Spearwall. Orcs will run into it. Goblins don't rush you, so that's not a thing that happens. But human enemies do not like running into Spearwall. They'll just sit there. I know this is nobles. I know you're not supposed to fight nobles, but same thing with barbarians. It's just not going to be very effective because people don't like running into Spearwall. Brigands won't run into Spearwall. Nomads won't run into Spearwall. It's just not a thing that happens. So, like, let's, I don't know. Let's just, this guy hasn't acted. We'll just wait a little bit. Move him back one. We're going to spear wall right there. So this build ends up actually largely failing because it's only good at countering Orc Young, and that's about it, which is a little sad. I'm not even, like, this is probably a terrible example because they're not going to really run into him right now. But we're just going to see, they're just going to wait. Brigands would do the same thing. I can't be bothered to, like, actually, like, showcase enemies. I'm not going to, like, move everyone back just to be like, well, look, they're not running. They're not going to run. You can do your own testing on this. I've done it, like, half a dozen times in my past trying to get this build to work. It's not going to. They're not going to run into the spear wall here. See, just running away. If my team was around, they would just run. They're running around the sides. It's just not going to work. Okay, yep, spear, like, shield wall. They'll do this to the end of days. They're not running in. So when you don't proc Fearsome because they're not running into you, that's kind of a problem. I mean, we could just see if it's going to do any morale failures, but I don't think it will. The other issue, specifically with nobles, is that they have a fucking banner. I would imagine orcs have a somewhat similar system, but the warlord doesn't do as much rallying. But the banner isn't going to, you know, he's going to rally them. So anyone you break will just get rallied back. All right, let's see. We have a spear. We'll see. The good thing about the spear is, you know, I have a 57, 59. That's decent to hit on these dudes. All right, let's just hope we hit. Yeah, I mean, look at this. He breaks. He like causes that. But I don't want a spear. If I'm just going to be stabbing people normally, I'm not. I would use the hammer build, or I'd use the dagger build, or I'd use the Warscythe build. I wouldn't be using the spear wall. The spear wall was meant to be spear walling, not stabbing. All right, everyone. Let's take a quick look at the dagger build in a goblin fight. I understand that we've been talking about orcs and chosen, but I want to showcase what counterintuitivity looks like. First off, For the Dagger build in particular, if I move 3 in attack, I can't use Adrenaline, and I love Adrenaline on this build right here. And if I attack 3 times per turn with the Dagger, I can't use Adrenaline, so that's a problem. Because if I wanted to attack 2 times per turn, then I'm a shitty Hammer, because the Hammer is obviously better at doing HP damage than a fucking Dagger is. So I can't attack 3 times per turn in Adrenaline, which is a big, big negative for the Dagger build here. Alright, let's take a look. We're gonna stab. Okay, we did a morale hit. Awesome. Adrenaline. Killed him. Okay. Broke him. Alright, you know what Fearsome did there? Nothing. Against, like, this is a counterintuitivity. Fearsome did literally nothing there, because I killed him. So, being a Fearsome build means nothing, because he's dead. There was no morale break there, because he just died. So, this is why fighting goblins isn't important for this Fearsome build. That's why I wanted to showcase. For the Overseer and the Shaman, yeah, that could be really important. But, how many, I guess I could have, like, run here and Adrenaline into the Shaman. That's very rare that you're going to be able to run up with a Dagger to Shamans and Overseers. So, this is kind of the negative of having good damage and the negative of being against goblins. Alright, now we're going to take a look at the Dagger build against an Orc Warrior. So we're gonna walk in. We could totally puncture right now. I love how we have punctures. We have such high fucking melee attack on this dude right here that we have 90s to puncture an Orc Warrior. I love that. But we're gonna try some stabs. So it didn't do shit. We're gonna Adrenaline. What I'm actually gonna do right now is I'm gonna see. Well, yeah, we'll see how it works. Through my testing, I'm gonna put 1 hit into him, and we're gonna see how this works. Through my testing, I've noticed that it takes about 6 or 7 stabs. I believe it was 7 stabs to break an Orc Warrior. Okay, we broke him there. We made him waver a little bit. This is fine. Fuck it, I don't care that much. All right, took 7 stabs to get a regular Orc Warrior, like full health from here, just stabbing him normally. 7. You can quote me on that. 7 stabs. With Fearsome, a little wonky. Maybe we'll take 6. Maybe we'll take 8. That's the average. But once you put some extra shit into him, he broke just like that. So we got 1 hit in there. But again, now what we want to do is I think we actually want to, we'll probably want to not use our last stab. And we kind of want to Adrenaline, maybe. We'll see. But good. What we've done now, this is not counterintuitive. Because the Orc Warrior actually has, like, most of his fucking health. We put 3 Dagger stabs in a billhook, and he's gone. He's out. Like, you know, it would take a lot more than... You'd probably have to kill him before we'd break, usually. Especially on turn 2. So we've actually neutralized an Orc Warrior right now, which is huge. So this is really good. We're going to come back to this in a little bit. Alright, so we put 1 billhook hit into him. He's wavering. We, actually we put 2 billhook hits into him. 1 did a little bit of head armor. Nothing else. Let's see. Do we do anything? If we're probably going to hit his body, do we do enough? Alright. We did miss last one. We missed a 95, but we broke him. I would like to bet that if we hit that last 95, we would have broke him. So we'd break another Orc Warrior again. Now let's say we broke this dude right here. Then he would run on his turn, and this guy with the giant axe would get opportunity attacks and break the shit out of him. This guy didn't take that much damage because he's got a spear and a dagger next to him, but nonetheless, that's fine. We could have maybe tried to puncture there at the end, but we're kind of running out of stam. We're not going to be able to Adrenaline next turn. What I actually love about Adrenaline too is, let's say I pass my turn right now. I pass my turn, and Orc Young charge stuns me, and then I get my turn back. Well, because, like, I know I pass, so he stuns me for the round, but I have no AP left, so I don't actually lose anything. So that's really fun with Adrenaline, is actually just passing your turn instead of, ending it. Alrighty, we are in a Barbarian fight. I want it to be noted that Pathfinder is great because I can run around on the snow here a lot. It means I can move on snow and actually still get... I get Adrenaline still, because moving 3 normally would be 3, 6, 9, no Adrenaline. Also means I save more stamina, which is perfect for this build. So we're going to walk up. We're going to stab the Chosen. Did some HP damage. Didn't quite break him, though, which is a shame. That might have just been RNG. Honestly, I'm not too sure how how Fearsome really works, in the sense that sometimes it seems like I did a lot of tests with the hammer build against Orc Warriors. Sometimes it'll get him down to only wavering. Sometimes it would break them entirely. It really kind of depends. Okay. We did a little bit of breaking action here. That's fine. We did it one head hit. Maybe if we hit body the last time, we would have broken him. Don't entirely know. But the issue is now, again, we have no adrenaline, so we're probably screwed. Again, I would like to pass my turn here, in the sense if I get staggered by the unhold, if I get staggered by the hammer, dazed by the mace, anything. The only issue would be if I get bled. The bleeding would be a huge problem, because I would take that bleed damage this turn. It also should be noted to be wary of these axe hammers, or hammers in general, because hammers will do 10 HP damage to you, irregardless of anything else. And that's not good when you have 63 hit points. After old, you don't have a lot of HP. And if they're just doing straight 10, you're probably screwed. Alright, we're going to try this again. We're going to stab him. Okay, we made him waver that time. See, I think it's kind of RNG, honestly. I don't really know. Good. Broke him. Like, why didn't we break him last time? We even hit the head again. I don't really know how this works. I'm as sad as that is to say. I guess we could just miss the 95 there, but okay, we broke a chosen. See, I didn't think the dagger would do that much. It needs a little bit of prep work for killing Orc Warriors, but for chosen, it actually works just fine. And I just want to reiterate again, we're using a plus damage, plus ignore armor dagger with double grip and duelist. I totally understand that not everyone has a fucking amazing dagger like this. But I would want to say with a little bit of prep work, again, if I put one of these bill hooks into them, I would totally be able to do this just the same. And realistically, I'm not going to be playing 1 on 26. I'm going to be playing 12 on 26. So I'll be able to get a little bit of that prep work in there. Probably would shoot him with the crossbow a little bit. So I could really make this build work. I think this would be fine with a normal rondo dagger. Or a Catal dagger for that matter. Alright, now we're trying out the hammer build in an orc fight. Again, we have a minus fatigue on use, which I think is the most important one here. And then plus damage, fucking hammer. So, yes, again, really good hammer. Please do not comment, this is only good because you have amazing weapons. I understand that. So, without this build still would work. It's just, I kind of happen to have some really good stuff. I just want to let everyone be aware. Again, we're using Duelist because we want to try and get those double morale breaks. I'm under the impression, to reiterate, that if you do the regular 15 HP damage for a morale hit, you'll get double. You'll get the Fearsome one and then the normal one. So that's what we're going to try and do right now. Alright, so we're going to walk up to an Orc Warrior, smack the shit out of him, do a shit ton of HP damage, not break him. I don't know why that happens. We're doing multiple tests of this. Why the fuck didn't it do anything? Okay, I don't understand that. I've never seen that happen. I've never seen it not do anything. Do I have Fearsome? I have Fearsome. Why didn't it do anything? What the fuck? Alright, we're trying that again. Okay, and now we make him waver. Cool. Now he breaks, now he flees. What the hell? So, that's great to know. So we're seeing that it can work. Again, I will say I'm a little bit hypocritical here by saying, oh, don't be counterintuitive. But HP wise, the orc is at around, I'd say 60-70% health, but his armor is largely stripped, which is great. And when he runs on his own turn, if he doesn't recover, then he's probably just going to take more damage. And getting rid of armor is pretty good. Like, he's not close to dying, but I've still done a decent amount to him to where other dudes could just do a lot more anyway. So that was pretty good. We're going to keep doing this, though, because this is a very important test. And round 3. Who do we want to hit more? We'll hit this guy. You know what? Here's what we're going to try. This guy has 2 dudes next to him. Maybe that makes his morale a little higher. We'll hit him. Alright, didn't do anything. Hopefully. Breaking. Broke all of his armor, which is awesome. He's breaking. If we put someone else into them, he might start fleeing. If we hit his body, he'll almost certainly start fleeing. So we've seen in 3 tests, we've seen breaking, we'll have seen fleeing. I must say, the first one, when he was still steady, I've never seen that happen. I've tried this 20 times, 30 times. I've never seen him pass 3 checks in a row. That is an anomaly. So I'm going to go with that it usually does stuff. We'll do one more test just to make sure. Alright, they let Dave over here lead the charge. Dave's wavering. Alright, breaking again. Alright, I think you average around breaking or fleeing, maybe get wavering, but it does a lot. Let's put it like this. He's breaking. We could probably get him to flee if we ran people up next to him. Let's just see. Not quite. Fuck it. Okay. But this is pretty effective. This is by far the most effective one we've seen against orcs so far, and we're gonna see that it's the best against orcs. Alright, now let's try the hammer build against a barbarian chosen. Hit him once. Didn't do any morale. Let's see. Chosen have 90 goddamn morale. So it's gonna be hard pressed to do something to him. Okay. Let's put it like this. That was the heaviest, I believe that's the heaviest armored chosen out there. And so what we did is we hit him 3 times in the body. And with the heaviest armor. So if we hit a Reaver, we probably would have killed him. If we had any chosen that wasn't this, that had less armor, I think we would have killed him. Like this guy would have died, got some head hits, maybe he would have lived. But you know what this is? This is counterintuitive. We're doing too much damage here with the hammer. The Orc Warrior, it's fine on Orc Warriors, because Orc Warriors have like 400 hit points or something stupid. Chosen, not so much. We're going to see, I'm going to try it against some like Reavers or whatever, and we're going to just kick the shit out of them. And we're going to see that the hammer build is actually counterintuitive against Chosen, and therefore, it's not that good. Like, it's fine, it's a damage dealer. If you just want to use this guy as a damage dealer, fine. But in terms of Fearsome, which is what we're looking at, a Fearsome build, it's not quite what we want. Alright, we're going to walk up, hit this guy. I swear, if I miss a 95, I'm going to be kind of pissed. Okay, hey, we morale broke him. Broke half his HP. Probably, are we going to kill him? Yep, okay, counterintuitive. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, this dude, he lived. Anyone else is going to die. That Fearsome did literally nothing there. Because, I already had 95s to hit him. So, wavering didn't give any more chance to hit. And 2, he's dead. So, his morale is 0 because he's a corpse. So, we don't actually like the hammer build here. It's good. This is a good build until you realize that it's a Fearsome build, and then you go, oh, it's not doing any Fearsome because they're still fucking alive, and they're about to die, or they're already dead. Alright, so right now, we're going to get right to an Orc fight. We're going to go against Orc Warriors. We've talked about before. If you want to do Orc Young, which you don't, you want to use the Spearwall build. So we're going to do a little hit here. Pretty, okay, it's obviously going to be worse than the hammer. I'm sure if you put enough hits in, it would do probably comparable HP damage, or comparable Fearsome to the hammer, but it'll do a lot less armor damage, which isn't as useful. We don't want to riposte round 1, we want to adrenaline, so next round we get that riposte up. Alright, sure. Let's, we got some things over here. Sure. Alright, let's go right here. Let's go here. Let's bring this guy over here. And then we'll try and go right here. Alright, sure. Alright. So then we're going to hit again. Didn't quite do anything. We're going to riposte and we're going to pass. Okay. Now, I'll get back to you when they start acting. Alright, so, okay. Oh, he got pushed. Okay. Let's wait a little bit. Let's see what happens here. Oh, we see riposte is actually gone. Cause the got pushed. I don't know why I'm acting surprised. I knew this all along, which is why I think this is the worst build easily out of any of them. Riposte against Orc Warriors is horrible because you lose the riposte every time you get pushed, and you can't afford that because what have you done? You've now done nothing. You're worse at regular. Your slashes are worse than the hammer attack, and you can't riposte. You can't do if you do it against Young, you're gonna get stunned, and you can't bring the Orc trophy because you're wearing the skull, and you can't Indom because Indom's 25 stam. Riposte is 18 stam right here with a -2, so normally it's 20. So we have 25, 20 is 45, plus another 20 from Adrenaline is 65. That's way too stam intensive. You can't be doing this. So we see very easily that this sword build in orcs is absolutely horrible, and you should not use this ever. Don't use riposte against orc warriors. Alright, now we're looking at fearsome riposte in the context of barbarian fights. This is pretty sketchy, I must admit. I'm walking into, this guy's got a mace, this guy's got an axe, this guy's got a fucking hammer, got dudes around, but we're hoping this can work. Alright, we made him waver, and then we're going to adrenaline, as we do. He's going to run away. Obviously, this isn't how you play this. You don't play with half your team running away, and then you just have dudes fucking indoming, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to break him, we're going to riposte, and then we're going to pass. If I get dazed for 2 turns, or stunned for 2 turns, only for 1. I do want to keep an eye on what I'm being rolled on. It's kind of important. With 50 melee defense, it's not as bad as you would actually think. Okay, good. The hammer didn't do anything. Okay. Okay, let's look at this. Rolling on like an 8, a 5. Okay. And I'm hitting 95. So that was a 15. That was pretty scary. It's kind of scary. If you guys level this guy up to higher levels, like 16, 17, you pump his melee defense, then this could really be amazing. I got hit there on a 15. He rolled on a 1. We're not missing that no matter what. Let's see what this guy does. He hit me. Okay. Hit me on a 2. 1 and a 2, so never missing that shit. So, okay. What's our stam looking like? Our stam's looking pretty bad. We're not going to swing because we want to have enough stam to adrenaline next turn. Alright, just moving these dudes back. This is nothing. I just want to move away so the more enemies target him. Let's keep in mind again, we are playing very suboptimally right now by just letting him get surrounded by 6 dudes with no help. This is not how you would play this, but I just wanted to focus on what the actual guy is doing. We are noticing that his HP is kind of holding up pretty well. You can take a couple of chosen hits. I've done this in the past. It's been alright. Alright, let's see. Good. Breaking. I don't know why he swung after he fucking started fleeing. They do that. I don't understand. Okay. They're breaking. This is really good. Let's watch this guy pull some stupid shit. Nice. Fleeing. Okay. This guy just don't want to get stunned. Just don't get stunned. We got dazed. Not cool. Okay. Fleeing. This is not amazing. Okay. Where were they? Let's look at what they're rolling on afterwards. Okay. 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 They're all fleeing. Okay. What did we get rolled on? I would love to actually get a turn. Okay, so what did we get hit on? He rolled a 22 to hit, which is yeah, so he's basically dead. He's dead. But let's say we weren't playing this like shit and we didn't get surrounded by 5 dudes. We've killed 2. We've broken 3 more. Like, we're gonna die. That's fine. Like, this is just a test. And we get hit on 1s and 2s, so we're a little bit unlucky there. That's fine though. The days, just whatever. But and you could say it's counterintuitive, but here I actually think doing damage is fine, because killing them actually breaks more of their morale, and they're stuck here. So let's say he lived another turn. Next turn, he would this guy would run, and he'd die because he's just running. He would die. They would all die, and which should cause more morale failures. We actually like seeing high damage here, which is pretty interesting. So we're just gonna redo this test a little bit more. Totally see why this would be a scary, scary fight. Like, he got surrounded by chosens, he got hit, not amazing. Like, you know, he's wavering, which might be why he got kind of screwed. But, you know, let's do this again. Chosen, which is what we wanted to see. All right, and right now we're seeing the next round. Okay, we broke him. We missed our 95. Not good. Good. Breaking there as well. We'd love to see. I want to see this guy go. Is he going? He's gonna die. which is the fun part. Especially when you don't have a shield, they're just going to swing at you every time, and they're just going to die. And you know, it's counterintuitive, but it really isn't if you're still getting those morale breaks. Alright, let's see that. Nice fleeing. Awesome. We love fleeing. They're going to rotate their shitty buddies in. It's fine. Alright, we're at an interesting predicament right now. I think what we're going to do is we're actually going to go here. We want to give this guy 2 swings so he kills himself on his turn. We're going to hope the Unhold doesn't come in and fucking stun us. That would be a big issue. Then we're going to riposte. We're going to end our turn. If we don't get stunned, we're going to have enough stand for next turn. Thing is, we don't need to kill these guys because they're just going to die. They're going to flee on their own turns and they're going to die. And that is exactly what we want to do. Alright. I'm just really fucking hoping the Unhold doesn't screw us right here. Let's see this. Good. Counterintuitive. I think this is where counterintuitivity doesn't matter. Alright. Do we need riposte right now? Not necessarily. Let's see what happens. Let's just watch them flee. Okay. Did. Good. Died on his own turn. Great. Not recovering. Alright. Indom up. Unhold does nothing. Alright. Let's see this right here. So now we're gonna riposte again. We're probably gonna have to recover after this turn, so we're just gonna do this. Alright, what's he gonna kill himself? Oh, we missed our 95 too, but fucking bad. But anyway, I think you're seeing how this is actually working. We're seeing this build when you don't get screwed by RNG is actually really useful in this fight. And so far, it's actually the best for these chosen fights. Now the question is not is it the best, because it is, but is it worth using? Because it can be the best all you want, but the Spearwall was shit, the Warscythe was shit, the hammer was too good to where it's not good at Fearsome. So that's a counter. It's just a good damage dealer, but in terms of Fearsome, it wasn't as good. And the Dagger was okay. So it really is this better than the Dagger? I think that it is, because you just do more. You know, he's getting really good kills, he gets really good damage. Maybe these aren't the best examples, but like, you know, I wasn't gonna fish for 30 minutes to get the one clip, because that's not representative of what's going on. There were a few times when on the first hit I got stunned for 2 rounds by a Reaver with a mace, and I'm not showing those, but that happens. So it kind of sucks, but overall this is what I think the best build for the best Fearsome build for these Reaver camps. Now, as I was talking about, is it better than a pure damage dealer? That's a tough question. I think it has its place, honestly. I think if you can trap like 6-7 Reavers and a couple of chosen and morale break them, that's really good. Maybe we'll see at the post-battle screen how he does. Alright, this is pretty telling. He got 1500 damage, which it looks like is the top of the entire fucking team. And 6 kills. Like, that's really good. And none of them were unholds. You know, there's a lot of that damage at the end came from unholds. He didn't do very much damage to unholds, so most of the damage he did was actually to those barbarians, which means, yes, I didn't get screwed by RNG. I don't even want to say I was lucky. I wasn't unlucky. That is what it should be. Totally fine. I will say, I use Cruel Falchions. I use named Cruel Falchions because they have 2 stam. They cost 2 stam to carry. I would bring a second one, because your sword might break. My sword has almost broken a few times. I think it has broken at least at one point with 60 durability. So bring a second one. If anything, it's 1 stam you're not using, and that's totally fine. But you know, 50 melee defense is what I have. This is why I stress having an adventurous noble or a sword master, because I just have that super high melee defense. If you have anything less than 50, it's going to be really fucking sketchy. And you maybe want to bring a shield, but I don't know if you can. That's what I'm saying. This build, it's very niche with what you need. You want the high melee defense. You also need the high melee attack as well. You need the high stam. You need somewhat decent HP so you don't just die. Alright everyone, now we're getting into some conclusion thoughts. I've made this table here ranking all the 5 builds from worst to best in Orc Warriors and Orc Young, which combines to an Orc total score Then we have Chosen Reavers. Then I also threw in Goblins and Brigands Nomads, which represent all human enemies. Not going to talk about those scores. They're very there. Must be noted that Brigands were not tested. Those are speculative scores. I tested for Spearwall against the Nobles, which you saw. But those are just kind of there for my thoughts. So you can ask me about them in the comments. So for Orcs, we saw the Warscythe was shit, and against Reavers and Chosen, it was also shit. So the Warscythe was very bad. I thought it was going to be bad going in. It was bad going out. Not surprised. Now the Dagger build I thought would be really, really bad. Turns out it wasn't. Against Orcs, I would actually give it second place. But that is because the other three were really bad. And then against Chosen Reavers, I would give it second place again after Riposte, because I think the hammer is probably better for killing. In overall, might be better in Chosen Reaver fights. But for actually doing Fearsome, the Dagger is less counterintuitive, so I'm going to give it second. Which means the Dagger, while never the star, is an overall solid choice for this build right here. Hammer, we're looking at first place for Orcs, easily first place for Orcs. Undoubtedly the best. And Orcs are really, really good enemies. I think it's the Hammer is better at Orcs and the Riposte is better at Barbarians. That's really worth noting. Against Chosen Reavers, I'd give it third because the Warscythe was bad and the Spearwall was bad. So that just lands in third place. The Spearwall was okay against Orcs, and since it was shit against Warriors, it was okay. It was like mediocre to like a below average against Warriors. Really good against Orc Young, honestly, really, really good against Orc Young. So that averages out to that, and then against Chosen Reavers, it was pretty bad. Wasn't like the worst thing ever. It was better than the Warscythe, I think, in that sense that you also are just doing crowd control, which is fine. Do not try and Spearwall against fucking unholds, because they can't be knocked back, so they'll just run into you and stun you. Do not do that against unholds. In Riposte, we see a great dichotomy here of fucking horrible against Orcs, and really good against Chosen Reavers. So, now, the three things I want to highlight that Hammer is best against Orcs, Riposte is best against Chosen Reavers, and the Dagger is second in both of those categories. So, there's a couple solutions here. One of them is if you don't have super duper high melee defense and you can't do the Riposte build, I would say go Hammer, and then or go Dagger. I would say go Hammer just because you're really good against Orcs. Like, you're just so fucking good against Orcs, and I think that it's okay if you want to just be a damage dealer in Barbarian fights. That's fine. Seems kind of lame. I think if you wanted to go for the pure aesthetic of Fearsome, you would go Dagger. But the second solution is actually, the solution is not to go pure Riposte, because it's bad against Orcs. So the second solution is actually to go Hammer, Riposte, double Mastery, and this guy fulfills a dual role. We'll see that in game just right now. This is what I think the optimal Fearsome build is. Now, if you are just watching the normal cut of this video, in the extended cut, I went through a lot of testing. I did some rankings here at the end, and I thoroughly recommend watching that. There's a lot of good information to be gleaned from there, especially with how to play, especially in regards to the other builds. But right now, we're talking about the best Fearsome build that I think is in the game right now. Not counting the Bannerman, I don't think there's argument for the Bannerman because he already has resolve, but for a pure, like, Fearsome, like, guy, I think this is the build. Rambling aside, so we've stuck with Student, Recover, Adrenaline, Colossus, Fortified Mind, Underdog, Nimble, and Fearsome, obviously. So the build, the questionable perks here, so we want Hammer Mastery and we want Sword Mastery. So we're left with one perk. And the two choices are Duelist or Pathfinder. Now, why would I want Pathfinder? I'd want it for the stam, and I'd want it so in snow fights, in the Chosen, I guess in forest fights as well, but Chosen are often in snow. You can move to attack, Adrenaline, round 2, Riposte, attack and Riposte, and for not a lot of stam. In orc fights, orcs are often in like tundra or grass or whatever the fuck. You don't care there. But Duelist gets you that extra damage, which you really need for proccing that second Fearsome hit. If you can get that on orcs with the hammer, I think that works well. I think Fearsome I think Duelist adds more consistency to Fearsome. I did some testing. It's a feel. I have no hard data, but it's a feel that Duelist makes it better, especially with the sword. I think it's a lot better. So I dropped Pathfinder. Which means you maybe can't attack round 1 in the snow or the forest, but you can still run up to there. You can still run up. You can still adrenaline, and you can still get that riposte. Pathfinder doesn't help you with riposte once you stay still, because you're not moving. You're sure as shit not moving when there's 6 guys around you. You probably can't even move. And with the hammer build, it is a very static build afterwards, because you want to be getting as many attacks, so you don't want to be moving, because if you move, you can't swing twice. So I think this is the optimal build right here. I want to say for everyone else, we want high melee attack. We want 50 melee defense. I think 80 stam is fine. I'm using a no stam hat. If I had a Blade Dancer hat, 60 -1, or maybe you could run a -4 hat. If you get a legendary wolf hat, that works. That's totally fine. I like as much stam as possible. I think it's okay. You want a Cruel Falchion. That is our weapon of choice. Is we want a Cruel Falchion. Actually, let me switch it out. It's a minus. I have a minus fatigue on use one. I would just use that one. Minus fatigue on use. You want to keep that stam up. Cruel Falchion though, because it has -2 stam, so you can keep one in your back pocket. And it's totally fine. You go into orc fights, you bring out the hammer. This is again a minus fatigue on use hammer. That's really awesome. Plus damage. Those are good. I don't think you can get less regular fatigue on these hammers. I think they're always -8. Effectiveness versus armor. We like to see if you get plus ignores armor, maybe you can even drop Duelist. If you have really high ignore armor, you can maybe drop Duelist and then take Pathfinder. Those are really good. Sunken Library, you get the extra perk point on a bro. Maybe you can take Pathfinder there. Would I do it on this fucking guy? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe even take goddamn Berserk. Not sure. But overall, I think this is the optimal Fearsome build right here. Thank you for sticking through this. Is going to be a long video, especially if you watch the extended cut. I had a blast making this. I had a blast knowing that Fearsome is actually good for something, and I'm actually going to use Fearsome now. I haven't used Fearsome before. I haven't felt the need to. I haven't used Adrenaline that much before, but I love that I get to use Adrenaline. I get to use Fearsome. I get to use Riposte. I get to use one-handed hammers. Those are 4 things I don't use very often, and I love that. So thank you for listening. I hope you learned something. Make sure to try out this Fearsome build on your own and comment below how you would make it better, because I'm sure I missed something. Peace.